Well, what up, fam? Gang, king folk. This is your boy Diaz Mackie with Wendy Kay. Starting a new podcast, The Other Side, where we'll be talking about the supernatural, the paranormal, the other side, the mystics, and beyond. Maybe doing some psychic readings as well here and there. We'll also be talking about politics, social affairs, current events. We'll delve into our relationship, get a little personal about ourselves as well during here. As the podcast grows, we'll have on future guests and things like that. But while we're here, Wendy, let the people know about yourself. First of all, when did you discover that you were a medium or a psychic medium? Like, when did you first realize the gifts?
So I guess when I first realized, I was a very young age at 5 when I would hate going to bed at night. I'd be the girl in the going to sleep with 1,000 covers on top of me because I didn't want any ghosts touching me. But that's when I really saw things and felt their presence. And my parents, I would have horrible dreams and I'd wake up and, being raised in a Christian home, Baptist, my dad would come in and he would be like, "You're giving too much credit to Satan." And being 5, that scared me because it was just like, I was raised to fear God, not the type of fear that most people nowadays are just like fear him as.
Now, I was raised in church too. My mom's a minister, at one point in time an associate pastor, always a prophet or whatever have you. Since the age I was 5, I do believe that's when her and Christ became married. Mm-hmm. Now, you say that they would say that you were giving space to the devil or whatever have you now.
Yeah.
And you also said that you knew that you were aware of your powers at 5. Now, did you know that, I say powers like you're an X-Men or...
No, I get
it. But, did you know what it was at 5, or were you just knowing that you were seeing shit like an invisible friend or whatever happened?
What's funny is I get this question asked a lot, and it's like I had this knowing. I knew that I was different, and I didn't know why. I don't think at 5 I fully understood the gifts that I was received from God, but I was suppressed for most of my young adult, early on to adulthood.
You ever do any spooky shit like Drew Barrymore and Firestarter?
No, but there's always some magic that can happen. I claim to be a white witch, not a black witch.
I don't know if that was a threat or not.
No,
but continue.
No threat. So with moving on, as I was suppressed, I just always had this knowing, and I always had this, like, I loved psychic mediums. I loved astrology. And of course, I was one of those kids that would read other people's, like, books or, us magazines just to read the horoscopes because, if my parents caught me reading that, who knows what I would.
What age were you Okay, you said you were seeing all these things at 5, like you're that little kid from Sixth Sense, like, I see dead people.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So, how old were you when you actually started the business of being a psychic medium?
I would say 31.
Putting the age out there. So...
I'm 39 now.
Look at that. A woman not afraid to...
I don't care. Who cares? I believe in Botox and fillers.
For the record, you're older than me.
No, I am not. You're 4 years older than me. Anyway, so with each of my children, my daughter is 14 now, and my son will be 11. And with each of my children, my gifts, I would say, expanded exponentially. And so what happened was I got pregnant with my daughter, and right after I had her, I could hear my grandmother, who's with me in spirit.
So as soon as you had your kid, your powers just increased, right?
Absolutely, literally overnight. I remember seeing shadows in the house, and of course, at that age, I was young, and there's no way that I would tell anybody. And I became an avid runner because there was so much energy that was happening within my body and within myself and within my marriage and being raised in a church and now being a mom and having all the going to church and making sure that you raise your children right in the way of the Lord and, yada, yada, yada. I was overwhelmed. So I became running. I started running.
When you say running, like running physically?
Running physically. And so those were the moments that I was able to really kind of be with myself and my thoughts. And my grandma would appear and give me messages. And I think, I kind of would test the waters and would ask her crazy questions. And then it would literally be revealed the next day. And then also doing hair. I've been a hairstylist for 18 years. I always thought I was just a good...
So when people sit in your chair, do you hear their dead relatives? Is a psychic medium like being Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost, for those who seen that, where Patrick Swayze's yelling by your ear, or are you the fake version of it when she was acting like you're possessed? Are you possessed by the spirit? And
no, definitely not possessed. No. But yes, I mean, in the very beginning stages of me coming, I like to quote unquote say, coming out of the spiritual closet, from being raised in a very strict Christian Baptist home. And then now, everybody in my community is just like, oh, she's a psychic medium. Okay. But when clients would come to me for their hair, I would get impressions. I would relay messages because I was kind of, it's a muscle that you still need to work on. Yes, I have this gift, but it increases just like weights or running or physical activity. You get better as you...
Because I imagine when it's first happening, you don't know if you're batshit crazy or not.
Oh, I definitely thought it was batshit crazy. And everybody around me in my community helped me know it. But no, I mean, since then I've created the last, I would say 5 years, I've created strict boundaries with, we can get into this later, but we all have guides and angels that are with us. Guides who come into our lives at a moment where our soul is growing. And so at that time, I needed boundaries with, I am doing hair and not a reading. And so there's some clients that would come strictly to get a reading. And so they're not paying for that. And so, I'm one that, my services are, well compensated. I mean, I have this gift, and yes, it's a beautiful gift, but I also have bills to pay and a lavish lifestyle that I like to live.
That definitely is the business end of it. Now, with your psychic gifts, because I know some people are like, hey, can you tell me the lottery?
Yeah.
Have you been able to use it to profit that way?
No.
How in the hell did your gift lead you to me? And other...
Should I answer that question about you? I mean, that's a long one. That should be another podcast. Anyway, so back to Diaz, what he asked me is lottery gifts. So, there are some mediums and psychics that do get the lottery numbers. I don't really know a whole lot of them. It might have happened when they were young, but in my adulthood, I have never gotten numbers in my head to help me out because...
Son of a bitch.
I know. But however, my gifts are to be of service, and that's to relay healing messages, to comfort, to relay messages that are peaceful, to help someone sleep at night knowing that their loved ones know exactly what they're doing, because a lot of people are really confused of the afterlife, and being raised either Catholic or Christian or Muslim, whatever it is, they just want to know if their loved ones are with them. That's it. And if they see what they're doing, if they're experiencing Christmas or, holidays or birthday parties, it's like everybody's like, oh, they're missing out, but they're not. And so that's why people come to me, is to know and to seek that comfort. You
ever get a spirit that comes back and is like, tell so-and-so, quit lying on my name. You didn't know me, bitch. Like, let's say that. This was supposed to be our first podcast a few podcast tapings ago, and we taped the first one. I listened to it. I hated the way I sounded. And then last week was a horrific week for myself personally, and then this weekend completely tragic, where two people that I knew passed away. One I really knew; he was a good friend of mine, and then one was hospitalized. She seems to be recovering. And then another died of COVID. Now, this day and age, Facebook and social media, you seem to get people who clout chase off of the dead. You know, we live in a very narcissistic society where everybody, it's always about me.
Yep,
right?
always.
People will make someone else's death about them. You know, it's rest in peace, so and so. I remember when you first da-da-da-da, or they'll screenshot text messages, you know what I mean, to show or whatever have you. Which I feel weird about. Like, I get it, but I feel weird about it. Anyway, with that, you ever get a spirit coming back like, that motherfucker lying, they did not know me like that. I did not like that nigga. Like,
you know, I can't really think of anything. No, not on the top of my head. And spirit doesn't honestly really work that way on the other side. However, I do as well do psychic detective work, and you know, my whole goal is to bring justice for the departed that are no longer here, and I am, you know, the voice for them.
Like The Medium, the TV show.
Yep, Patricia Arquette that plays Alison DuBois. She's a real medium and psychic, and she did work with the Arizona detective team.
So have you ever gotten someone who was murdered and came to you and was like, avenge me?
Yes, I've gotten quite a few, but the thing with nowadays is, you know, a lot of police officers, detectives, you have to go to an agency that are more open to using a detective or a psychic. And I was unfortunate with some of the cases that I was brought forward to. A lot of my clients, actually, you know, they wanted me to help them and work with them. But honestly, I use those moments and those times as a learning curve for me of how to kind of relay messages, knowing that their loved one is departed, but, you know, my client being, they fully believe that they're still alive. So like
Ghost, like the Patrick Swayze thing, like he kind of thought that he was still there for a minute.
Yeah, because, you know, not everybody is ready to hear that their loved one is dead. And so you have to have that grace and compassion and know how to communicate. And so I believe that, you know, God allowed me to go through those situations to better myself, to come with grace and compassion and understanding and patience and clarity so that I can communicate clearly with them in a loving manner.
Have you ever gotten a spirit that was angry, or anyone tried to possess you, or?
There's been a few cases. There was one, I would say probably about 4 years ago, where I did a reading, and this lady had an ex-husband that committed suicide. And he honestly didn't cross over to the light. So he was kind of in the holding area, I guess.
He's in purgatory?
Yeah. You know, he's in this space where he was just angry, and he was volatile. So he was using his energy to...
Well, that makes sense, because people always think that when you die, like, you're either going to heaven or hell. And people don't realize that the hell that we picture, the lake of fire, that doesn't happen yet.
No.
Like, that happens, but it's not there yet. So I could totally imagine a person that killed himself because you're committing an unpardonable sin. Mm-hmm. That's an unforgivable sin, because you can't ask for forgiveness for murder if you're already dead. You know what I mean? So I would imagine that most people that commit suicide...
Yeah, they're just confused. I mean?
Unless they're able to...
They're just confused and they're angry. And, you know, and he was... And I mean, the reading got pretty intense, and I had to make sure that I communicated it in a proper way so that he wouldn't come and haunt me and follow me back home. But I was able to help him cross over to the other side. He just needed someone to trust and to understand. And with me, he trusted me. And so I was able to step away and then just help him ease to the other side. And
so that's a whole different purgatory than what you're saying. It's just
he
wasn't going to the light. So basically, similar to Patrick Swayze in Ghost, where he saw the light and was refusing to go yet because he wanted justice. Like in that movie, he wanted justice because he's like, why did I just die? How did I just die? He left with things that were unsettled, and so his soul will get that way. They will get angry. And that's why I have this desire to do psychic detective work, is to be the voice for the departed that they're not here. So I want to relay those things and hidden messages and the puzzle pieces to the cases and, bring justice so that their voice can be heard. No, in full transparency, like, I've witnessed you do some people would say wacky things or whatever have you. The others that, I've seen you read people, different strangers.
Yeah.
My grandfather has come visited you on one or two occasions. Another friend of mine, Jessica, has come to visit you twice.
Yes.
When to tell you to take care of me.
Yes.
And then another time to warn you. Or to warn me not to take a gig that was, I guess, beneath me or maybe a trap. Now, so some of these questions and conversations that we have will be, for the audience or whatever have you, because I know the answers to them, and you don't know what I'm asking. It's just freestyle this whole thing here. But with that said, my background in growing up, as far as into the spirituality thing, as I mentioned earlier, my mom, minister, prophet, my father, a Muslim, and he tried to raise me up in that, but I always was drawn more to the Christianity side. Like, that has just always compelled me more.
Your calling.
Yeah, and my mom, the way she did it, I guess, did it right. Like, raised me knowing that gifts and callings come without repentance, which is why I truly was able to recognize your gifts. And then there has just always been a separate spirituality with me that was outside of Christianity. Like, I've always looked at Christianity like, wait a minute, that's not completely right. Looked at Judaism, it was like, they've got it right, but they're not living by all of it. They're still stuck in the law. Same thing with the Muslim faith. But growing up still thinking and getting to the point of knowing that, or thinking that, anything outside of the Holy Spirit, or what we considered the Holy Spirit, was evil, was witchcraft. But as a kid or younger, always attracted to people's spirits. Like, it was always like a weird connection. It was always more than physical.
Yeah, you see their soul.
Yeah, but it was always like, she'd be like, oh, I practice witchcraft, you know what I mean, and pull out some weird book, and I'm like, I'd be all scared, like, but I've always seemed to attract. That's why it didn't surprise me when you mentioned it. I was like, figures. And in times past,
no, you saw it on my Facebook.
No, I did not. I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I didn't pay attention to it though when I seen it. Like,
no,
it glanced over. Yeah, originally.
This will be another topic.
Yeah, yeah. When I first saw the medium, I glanced over it, but then I came back to it and was like, "Hold on."
And that's when you said,
medium?
You said, "I knew you were this before I even accepted your friend request."
Yeah, the spiritual connection was just weird,
and we'll talk about how we met in another podcast, but not this one.
The point of all of that is, like, growing up thinking that was evil.
Yeah, me too.
That the whole black and white.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good versus evil. That's the dark side. It's not of God. In comparison with, I do believe it's in Acts, when Peter, people think it was Paul, Peter's walking through one of the towns, and this is after Christ ascended to heaven, and people are being healed by Peter's shadow, like just by his shadow. And he's casting out demons and whatnot. And this lady comes out and she starts prophesying to him about the resurrection and to believe in some other stuff. Mm-hmm. To which she was dead on. She was right, but Peter recognized that she had the spirit of divination, I do believe is what he called it. Mm-hmm. And he bound it. And scripture says whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever is loose on earth is loose in heaven. So he bound the spirit, like cast it out. And her manager, her pimp, came out and was pissed off at Peter because he was like, you ruined her. You know what I mean? She's no good. Like, she can't. Yeah. So I can see where a lot of Christians getting to the point look at you and probably judge or
sure.
more judgmental.
Absolutely.
But then we're moving into an age of an awakening in spirituality where people are starting to recognize that the church isn't what the church is supposed to be.
Right.
And so they're starting to go away from that and then gravitating more into the mystics. And so I can imagine now, for a person like you and people in your field, that business has to be booming right now.
Yeah,
I mean, you go everywhere.
People want answers.
And you see people with their little tarot cards and crystals and things like that, especially with the last year. So how has the last year of COVID and all this affected you and your business?
Honestly, my spiritual business boomed. Of course, the hair industry kind of tanked, obviously, because of COVID reasons. But doing readings, it boomed because energy is energy, and I read energy. So spirits can come to me. If I'm reading someone in Canada, New York City, Florida, it doesn't matter. It's energy. So I can do Zoom at any time. And people are just seeking answers. They're seeking validation. They want to know what's happening. They want to be comforted because either they're having a spiritual awakening, they're understanding things are happening in this world. They want more understanding on it. They're becoming more aware. They can feel, sense, and, see spirit. Massive awakening happened in 2020. So honestly, when a lot of people in my hometown thought that I was going to fail, I thrived.
I bet, because you see, first of all, a lot of people don't like to do regular therapy. And so instead of going to a regular therapist or whatever have you, I can see them going to a psychic medium to get that help. For sure. Or whatnot.
And that's honestly what I always say. I don't knock the psychiatrists or counselors. I do not knock them. However, I do acknowledge the fact that they do take a long time to get to the actual core of what's happening in your life. It takes a while to build that relationship, that whatever. Where I am a psychic medium, where the psychic part, I can read the energy, I can understand where it's coming from, the root, and I can help you heal it faster. So honestly, I don't know why people don't go to psychics more often, to be honest.
Well, it's that spirituality part. It's the part that scares you because
it does, but I think people don't understand it.
The other side.
I don't think people understand that, if you book an appointment with me and you're not wanting to communicate to your loved ones because you have nothing to say to them, there's the psychic part that if there's something in your life that you need clarification, information, guidance, support, just to know that you're a normal human being feeling these feelings, that's what that part that I can do. Just because someone books with me doesn't mean that I always bring forward a loved one. I can already sense if someone is not ready to receive a message from a loved one.
Well, it's not even that. It's just, I think for a lot of people, it's the fact, when I say that, and I say it because it was with me. And so I just try to put myself in the position of those, is the fact of consorting, right? The King Saul in the Bible, the king of Israel before David became king. Mm-hmm. He was demon-possessed and went crazy because he was used to getting guidance from the prophet Samuel, God's anointed prophet. Samuel passed away. And so he consorted with a witch to go bring Samuel back up from the dead so he could get advice from Samuel. And she did, which lets you know that shit was real even then, you know what I mean? Because God mentions it. She brought him back.
Yeah.
And the first thing he was like, why did you disturb me? You know what I mean? Out of my rest. And he begins he's cursed. And that's where the saying comes, music will calm the savage beast.
Yeah.
Because when his demons would rile up, David would play the harp for him. And it would calm him and soothe him. And that's where that expression comes from, is right there. And so I think a lot of people are afraid of that. I know I was and have been for years of that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Lord, you know what I mean? I've betrayed you and tapped into that. Or you started to look too far into astrology or something like that. No, where I have the advantage in my Christian upbringing is my mom never discounted that. And never tried to tell me that it was fake. In fact, my mom always said, it's real. Be careful.
Sure.
And so I've always known that it was real. You know, which is, I guess, gave me the upper hand. But I won't lie. I've been scared of that. I had to be prepared for you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If I didn't make it at a different time, there'd have been no way. I'd have been Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Same with you. I would have been ready. I would have been ready for you.
Oh, I know. I'm allowed to handle even you being ready.
But no, I fully understand that, being raised in the Christian home and, you know, very conservative, narrow-minded parents, and the community that I was raised in.
I don't want to say it's narrow-minded.
It is narrow-minded. They're narrow-minded. I lived it. I breathed it. I left it. And I will never return. Because, you know, being shunned because of this gift, but yet it's funny how a lot of people shunned me, but yet, guess what? And I won't name any names. They're all coming to me for a reading.
Well, that's because, again, like I was saying, the church has been presented as flawed, which it is.
Absolutely. Yes,
in my opinion, today's church is nothing but the Sadducees and the Pharisees of the Bible. Today's church would be the same people who would persecute Jesus. Now, unfortunately, the liberal left would be the same people that would try to shoot him too. Because I'm sure he would offend them somehow. But so it's really a no-win for Jesus at this moment. Now, but as far as a lot of people who are in church awakening to the spiritual gifts, I mean, it's just that time. You know, people are recognizing that it is real, and it is. There is a lot of truth in the mysticism and the cards, and people right now are scared. And they want direction. Sure. You know, they don't know. Like, people want to know, are we going to have another closing? Is the world getting ready to shut down again?
Yeah.
I say yes. But someone's calling you, I'm sure, and asking you, like, how much does it cost to tell me, do I need to buy my kids school clothes?
Right. Yeah. No, I understand all that. And, you know, sometimes I do get rolled event, you know, messages or visions. Sometimes. I don't get a lot. I think because God already knows that I would get overwhelmed. And because Diaz here, he's very political and he likes to watch the news. Where me, I'm an empath, so I feel things on a very much deeper level. And it's almost, it's just overwhelming. And so it's just like going to like a concert or the mall. It's just too much energy and I just can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm emotional, but I'm not. Like, I can be kind of detached.
Emotional and empathic are very different things.
Oh, no, I know that. Like, you feel things differently. But I'm saying, even with me, like, that's why I can watch the news and I'm normally, like, detached, like,
because you can tap in. That's your gift. You can tap in very fast and efficiently, and you can see what's happening. And that's why you and I balance each other, because I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah. But that was why I was surprised at how hard my friends' passings hit me this weekend. Like, I know plenty of people who have passed, but only a few people have hit me to that point to where I was like, you saw me. I was fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I cried. I can't remember the last time I cried.
Because you had a soul bond with them. And it hit you in a different space in your heart, in your soul. Things that God revealed to you. That if you chose a different direction, that could have been you. And we don't need to get into that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I'm glad that I shifted gears and started going another way, and it was a wake-up call, and I'm glad that God put you on my path to bring me to that wake-up call, because He is a wonderful thing.
Hail the pussy.
Hello, got me quit smoking cigarettes and cocaine. Rest in peace, Puerto Rico. Man. But, yeah, this is what our podcast is going to be. We're talking about the other side. Talking about our relationship.
Yeah.
You said that you didn't want to dwell into it. How did the mystic gods allow you to be with this mess? That is Diaz Mackie.
Are you sure you want to get into this one in this episode or the next episode? I can tell you a little bit, and then
we're going to be doing a lot of reviews and a lot of podcasts.
To be continued. So, you're not a mess.
I'm a blessed mess. I'm an organized mess.
Your soul was ready. Your soul was already asking for help. And I appeared. And I was asking for someone to see me and support me and to love me no matter what. Because I haven't had that. I've never had that. Mark my words, I've never had that. There's been close. They've been saying, "Oh, yeah, I support you." No, they don't.
And I'm like, she's a witch.
No.
Burn her at the stake.
And I got to the point in my life where I'm not going to settle. And so, I think before meeting you, 2020 was, I sowed my seeds and I dated a lot, and I needed to because it prepared me for you.
I don't know how to take that.
Whatever. You sowed your seeds too.
I've been doing that my entire life. That was my goal. All consensual, by the way. You need to say that. But we'll get into that on the podcast too. Definitely. Oh my God, what a week. But
we'll talk more on how we met because I think it's a really cool story. I love our story.
It is. It was different. Now that I'm here in Oregon, was living in Las Vegas at the time doing comedic tours.
Yeah.
And this beautiful pink-haired lady who I had a dream about
That's nice.
4 months earlier.
Yeah.
Popped up and was like, oh shit. And she had 2 cute kids with her. And I was like, oh shit. I went from fuck to fuck.
Yep. Literally.
Yeah. And luckily for me, you happened to DM.
Yeah, or you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I heard that. I knew that I needed to.
Because I'm far more of a gentleman than people try to get credit. People think I'm a monster. Like, oh, you're not pussy. A monster. Come here.
He's not. And he's actually quite shy. You are shy.
Very.
I was like, whoa, I think I'm more outgoing than you. But with the microphone, you're in your element.
I'm on and yeah.
But without your microphone, it's like you're so shy and reserved. Without
microphone or drugs, I am very reserved.
Oh, really?
I'm very shy.
It's all good. But no, I think our listeners will want to know how we met because I know my clients like to listen to this story when I tell it.
Yeah,
because it was kismet for sure. It was
definitely kismet. I'll agree.
Divine intervention for sure.
It was perfect timing.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, it was perfect timing, but it was odd perfect timing.
Yeah, we'll get into
that. Because when we met,
that was crazy.
I was literally like on a date.
From the night before, moving on to the next morning. And me being psychic, I kind of knew what was up. You know, I didn't know too much, but I could feel the energy.
Oh, and I know I was attracted to you, like, when I seen you, I was like, fuck. And I was, like, trying not to look at you on the bus and shit like that. And I was...
Yeah, you played
on
it
the bus,
cool
yeah.
times.
I was always facing you guys, and so I would make my eye contact with the tourists and shit, and while I'm telling stories and telling facts about on our way to the king, and I would look at you and look down or up. It was so awkward. Trying not to look at you, like, And then it was so weird because my little date, when she came in, she was like, oh, I was just talking to the lady. We had, like, the first conversation. I told her how to get this wine. And, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, y'all talked?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. And I caught on to that pretty fast.
Yeah, I was like, look. But at the same time, like, I knew that wasn't, like, she was a lesbian. Like, this, she had, like, a whole fiance. And people always, like, question me when they hear the story. They're like, she was bisexual because she was with you. And I'm like, no, this bitch was a whole lesbian. Like, she hadn't been with another dude in, like, 15, 20 years. Like, I was trying to bring her back for the good guys.
Oh, my God.
And then, yeah. And then she's black. And so, she hates your white ass.
Yes, she does.
And that's the other side.
That's the other side of it all.
We've gotten a couple of that, which is also why my little situation has re-arisen like Lazarus.
Do you want to talk about that now? Or do you want to talk about it in the
I mean, we can get into a little bit of it without getting into all of it, just because I'm so sick of talking about it. But I do know that I will probably have to talk about this shit for another year.
Yeah, another year. Only because I was given the message that, 7 years is a completion, and he's in the 6th right now, so.
And then I do
Another
imagine
year.
that lockdown's finna happen, so shit finna halt anyway, so about a year. I'll be about right. I did the math in the shower.
Yep.
But yeah, accused of sexual assault, falsely accused. I should
Falsely accused.
add in there. I'm so glad that you're a psychic. I never even slept with a chick, which is crazy. Last week, I was accused of it 3 years ago. Was put on probation for 2.5 years for conspiracy to commit battery because the DA recognized I didn't do it, but wanted to cover up for his fuck up for going so far.
Yep.
Because I wasn't prosecuted by the DA's office. I was being prosecuted by the actual DA. And so I embarrassed him in court. Then they offered me the plea deal, declined it. Ended up taking the plea deal under duress because my life became in danger while I was in jail because they never really gave me a bail because they thought I was a flight risk because they thought I had more money than what I had.
You can look up Diaz Mackie.
They thought that they was really making a case like my name is way bigger. They probably Googled my net worth and was like, oh, this motherfucker got it. So anyway, going through all of that and going through that 3 years was different. And then silence over the last year and a half. And she sees me with you and doing good and decided to remix.
Because she's black and I'm white.
Her victim story. Yeah, that and just the fact that I'm still doing more. But that's...
And you're
the
happy.
fact that
people don't
happy,
want... People that are miserable don't want to see other people happy.
And true story, and I honestly had to come to a realization of this, and I came to it a little while ago, but I struggle. I struggle with it because I do get angry, and I hate the girl. I loathe her because of the stuff that she's done to me, but I don't want to hate her.
You hate...
Because
You hate
I hate what
doing.
she's
You
done.
don't... Yes, you don't hate her as a human because
I kind of do.
No.
No. You're trying to put words in my mouth. We don't want to argue about this because I'm telling you, I kind of do actually hate this bitch. I don't want to because I want the good part of me to be forgiving and all that. But all the stuff that she's done to me makes me loathe what she's done as well as her. And then I try to forgive her and be the bigger person, and then she comes up and she does something again, and then it's like, ugh.
It's the inner child, and a lot of whoever is going to be listening to our podcast that are psychics, mediums, they'll understand, intuitives. on the spiritual, growth.
It's the reason why God didn't give me powers.
Because she has inner wounded childhood issues.
And that's what
Be upset with that, not her soul and who she is.
And that's the adult telling you that. That's what a therapist would probably tell you to do, as well as all of that.
I mean, a therapist maybe
I know they would, because I
20
had
sessions later.
No, I probably did about 20 sessions. I had to do therapy too.
Yeah, and you didn't have boundaries, she said. Yeah. You still don't know boundaries.
Yeah, I didn't.
But no, she's got issues.
Well, she does, and I recognize that. Like, the adult in me recognizes all of that. I empathize with all of that. I recognize that she has mental health issues. I even recognize that part of her may actually even believe what the fuck she's saying. Like, I've come to grips with that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's probably a psychotic part of her that has began to believe the lie that she's saying. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean...
But it's driven by spite and all of that. And
what spirit usually shows me is, like, someone with that type of brain activity. I don't know how else to say it politically correctly, but they show me a roller coaster. So it's like, literally, it's like, some type of mental illness.
I think sometimes in her moments of silence alone, I do believe that she has remorse and feels bad. And then I think that she feels enraged again, and then she goes out and she's dug her heels so far in the sand. Now it's either come out and just confess and do a whole Jim Baker, I'm sorry I've lied, or have the truth smack you down. I do believe the truth is he's going to have to smack her down. Mm-hmm. Although I would much rather her, like, that's been my prayer the whole time. I was like, Lord, let her just come out and confess, and that way the whole thing will go easy on her, because
anything that is hidden may be brought to light. Yeah. That's the only thing you can control. And anybody that is dealing with a situation like that, that's the prayer that you ask, is anything that is hidden may be brought to light.
But with all of that, I have learned to be grateful. I've recognized how strong that I am, because I know this same situation that I'm going through, I know that it's killed other people.
Yeah.
I know people who have killed themselves.
Yeah.
Going through what I'm going through because they weren't strong enough to stand tall. And I've not only stood tall, but I've kind of excelled in some of it. I met you. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if all of this happened to bring me to that point, I'm happy with it. But it also cut the grass, revealed snakes.
Yeah.
Made me a better man. I am a better person. I am.
Mm-hmm. You are.
To an extent, kind of worse, though, because now I am a bit jaded. And which is fucked up. Like, before this, if a woman would have said she was sexually assaulted or whatever have you, I'd have been like, let's go burn that dude. Let's cut his dick off, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm like, hold up.
So what she
she's
revealed
introduced
to
that
you,
part of me now.
The empathic side.
No, it's not the empathic. It's just empathy. It's just like, hold on.
Yeah,
let's hear that side of it.
Yeah, that's the same side.
I'm not going to just jump on the tree.
That was
and
the
believe all women.
lesson that she gave you.
But that's a fucked up lesson to give, because I
Is
like
it?
to have been on that believe all women train. I wanted to do that, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, women lie about this, which you knew.
Women do lie.
You look at Emmett Till.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But until it happens to you, I have had to recognize myself.
And use your voice and stand up for yourself.
Jaded. And you know what, though? Because of... And it's so funny because you don't want to victim shame and all that. Like,
no.
And all, so you don't... It's so weird because I think of that and then I have to remind myself, even though I do think of myself as a survivor, but I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the fucking victim. Like, why am I holding back and not going back at her? Like, wait a minute. I'm the victim. But even though I'm a survivor and all this, and a triumpher, but it has jaded me. And I have had to recognize that. Like, before, I was that type to be like, oh, you did what? Who raped you? What? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Let's go beat them up. Get the mob. Cause, you know what I mean? Like, I was that dude. And now I'm like, hold up.
Let's get the facts.
Let's hear his story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What did you do?
Hear other people use their voice and speak their truth and their story.
Which is crazy because I've been accused of this, and it's so crazy because to the letter of the law, I have been raped 3 times by women. And I'm not even counting me being molested as a child by my babysitter.
Yeah.
A woman. I'm talking about rapes. Like, sleep, woke up with a stranger on me, drugs. You know what I mean? Like, raped. To the letter of, but I'm a dude, and you just, you know what I mean? What the fuck? You know what I mean? You tell your boys later, like, just let this bitch, you know what I mean? And you go on, because not going to the police saying, hey, this bitch raped me.
Right.
Know? But yeah, to the letter of the law, I've been a victim of domestic violence several times, and which I totally understand. Like, I have the ability to make women very pissed off at the end of a relationship. But then we end up being friends after, but they'd be pissed during that breakup. Like, I have that ability. It's the asshole in me to. But yeah, I've been punched, stabbed, or not stabbed. I was cut.
Oh my!
Tried to stab me, but I'm quick.
I won't do any of that.
I hope not.
I don't have any reason to.
Kind of why you get a white girl at this point in my life.
Oh my god! Oh. The jab.
I gotta add humor in here somewhere. This is getting a little bit too serious. Our viewers are like, "Ain't this dude supposed to be a comedian?" They're probably still thinking it. But I said our viewers, our listeners. Let you know where I am. But yeah, this is what the podcast is going to be. Well, it'll be more of this, but we will be talking about the other side, the paranormal. Wendy here, actually, you've had a reading recently where you actually had a violent ghost.
Yeah.
A violent spirit. Or I do believe the term that you used was shapeshifter. Skinwalker.
Are we talking about this in this podcast or the next?
Well, we're going to tease him with it, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, yes, a skinwalker is what I've known to be a skinwalker. For those that are shamans and in the spiritual realm, a skinwalker is one that was a shaman here on the physical earth.
I mean, is a shaman like... So does that
a
mean
spiritual
like,
entity, Native American, yes. Had the powers, had the gifts.
I can do that because I'm Cherokee and Blackfoot.
crossed over, but he used his gifts as a negative, like he used his powers negatively.
For evil.
So he can then transcend into a skinwalker, meaning he can, and your term was kind of correct with the shape-shifting, because they can shape-shift into different animals, beings, half man, half animal. So the house that I went to go clear, this lady is awakening to her spiritual gifts, and she was on her couch, and this man appeared in her window, and he had a leg or a man's body. So from, the torso, the hands and the feet and the legs, and then he had a bull face. So with the horns, the nose ring, the ears, all of that. And he was just trying to basically scare her.
He was just pulling the Beetlejuice? Like,
Yeah, because... Okay, so how would you feel if you saw that?
I would freak the hell out.
Exactly.
And this is how my life has changed since I've started dating you. Mm-hmm. And then being here. First of all, you have a ton of fucking mirrors in this house. In this bedroom. And to walk by the mirrors, to go to the restroom by night, I get a little freaked out. I'm like, is something there?
Yeah, but you're protected, baby.
Well, I know I'm protected. I've been protected before you. Like, the blood. Like, I'm a chosen. I know that. Like, that's why I go through so much stuff. Like, I'm a chosen. God knew me before my mother was in my mother's womb. But it's still weird though. Like passing by, going through. I'm like, these motherfuckers. Like there's some days I feel like there's somebody watching,
and there's probably somebody watching.
Yeah,
your grandfather's probably watching.
That's disturbing right there in the bedroom. Like,
no, they're not watching.
I'll be putting in work.
He's not watching that, and if he is, he's eating popcorn watching it because it's a view.
Yeah, you don't fuck down, you fuck up. I definitely fucked up.
Are you speechless over here?
A little. Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Good dick can keep you in a bad relationship for a good 6 months.
True.
I know it's true. I've lived it.
Mm-hmm. So what are you saying?
This is a good relationship. We should be together forever. We better be.
We will be.
Or they might have to call the police for real this time.
We will be. I'm not worried.
Yeah. This is a sample of what's more to come. Mm-hmm. We will, in the future podcast, we will be doing this weekly until we get it daily. But we'll have future guests on where Wendy can do a reading.
Yeah.
We'll have other comedians on where we talk about comedy and the game. I know my big bro in comedy, Spanky Hayes, he's filming a movie out in Vegas currently with Kevin Hart and JB Smooth, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have him on the podcast, as well as Thomas Ward. He opens up for Eddie Griffin. We'll maybe even have Big EG on here one day. But we'll be doing a lot of things with the podcast. Maybe perhaps we even have Gracie and Tristan.
Yeah, my kids.
Make an appearance and see what they think of.
They're single mom. They'll tell you.
Gracie be like, Mom's crazy.
But she knows I'm right.
But she knows you're right.
That's the thing. She knows I'm right.
I've had to see it. And I think that was why the Lord allowed me to see and then witness touch of my grandfather and Jess. Mm-hmm. The grandfather was like, all right. But Jess was like, oh shit. Like that actually hit me in the heart. I don't know why that was more touching Jess than my grandfather.
Because there was more depth. Because your grandfather came for a message for me. It wasn't a message for you. So there's nothing that I was supposed to relate to.
And I was like 7 when he died, as opposed to Jess. Like that was my girl.
You had a connection with her, and she came with actual messages. Where your grandfather. And we'll discuss this later. He just
came with a baby, like, y'all finna have a baby. And I was like, what?
Hey.
Yeah, we dropping jewels. We're going to do a lot of rehashes.
We'll discuss that later.
She's not pregnant yet.
No.
I'm trying. Just nothing like crazy. Yeah. But, this will be the podcast. It'll be silly. It'll be serious. It'll be spiritual. Maybe one night we'll even do a Bible study. Or I'm always giving COVID advice on Facebook.
And we want to hear from you. So any kind of topics that you want us to discuss.
Topics, feedbacks. In the future, we'll even go live.
Yeah.
That is an option on here. So this is officially... Yeah. Our first podcast, love.
Yeah. Love you, baby.
So anything you want to say to the good people?
Love and light. Be safe.
Love and light. Be safe.
Be well.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Medium Wendy Kay, Kay, and Facebook, just Wendy Kay. My website is mediumwendykay.com.
There you go. And you can find me, Diaz Mackie, DIAZMACKIE. That's my name on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I'm not on TikTok because I'm a grown-ass man. On our way out, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent, one from another. Watch and pray. God bless you all. Thank you and peace.